everyone. Welcome to Your Virtual Coffee, the web show which introduces you to great local businesses in the Denver metro area. Today, my guest is the wonderful Rosalie Chamberlain, Principal, Certified Executive and Leadership Coach, and Organizational Inclusiveness Consultant with Rosalie Chamberlain Coaching and Consulting. She is an ICF-certified Executive and Leadership Coach and Diversity and Inclusive Consultant certified through Cornell University School of Labor and Relations. Rosalie brings her unique experience and perspective to create inclusive cultures based upon a 34-year foundation of law firm and corporate experience and having served as a diversity and inclusion manager. She has served a range of government and private industries. Rosalie has particular expertise in law firm diversity and inclusion efforts with an understanding of the law firm culture and the current climate of the legal profession. Rosalie is also the author of Conscious Leadership in the Workplace, a copy of which I have, and you can too, and we will talk about that later. And with that said, Rosalie, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Gina. I appreciate you having me on your show.
We like to do business with people that we know and we trust and we like. So if it's all right with you, Rosalie, I'd like for my audience to kind of get to know you on a personal level. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
What do you like to do for fun?
I have a pretty big list, but the main things are cycling. I love cycling, skiing, getting together with friends, especially when we can do that in person is even more fun than virtual. And I love reading, I love theater, and I love music. And I love.
I could do the whole interview on just all of those things because they're so interesting. Do you have, speaking of theater, do you have a favorite show that you like?
I love musicals. I mean, my favorite musicals of all time are Les Mis and Wicked. That I've seen them more times than you really want me to tell you. But I love musical theater, but I actually had a children's theater company when I lived in Atlanta. And I wrote children's plays and directed plays and did a lot of community theater myself. So I really appreciate theater, even when it may not be the best, because I know what it takes to put into a production, from the rehearsals to the writing to the putting it on to the acting, and it is a labor of love.
Well, speaking of theater, are there takeaways that theater taught you that you use today?
Oh, definitely. I kind of call it my first coaching job because I was a coach to children and young adults on how to act. So definitely that, and helping people get out of their own way and just be authentic and who they are and themselves. And working with the children was really great because most of them had not built these I can't do this. They were so excited to be on that stage that they would ask me to write more lines for them to be able to say. To me, that's just wonderful. So that's one thing. And then I think the writing experience, when you are writing plays or writing a play from a novel or something like that, you really get into writing. And I think that was really helpful for my writing my own book.
I love that. Now, after reading your book, and I did some research on you, I noticed you had a YouTube channel. Could you elaborate about that?
Yes, my YouTube channel started about 2 years ago after I did a TEDx Cherry Creek Women. It was called Crestmore Women at the time, but it's the same as Cherry Creek Women now. And that was a wonderful experience. And I have to say, when I got out there on that stage, when we were doing our rehearsals, I thought, oh, this feels really good. I haven't been here in a long time. And I think that particular feeling too of being comfortable on a stage helps with I do a lot of speaking engagements. So that makes it helpful. But I did this TEDx Cherry Creek, and I talked about the element of fear and in bias. And it was a fantastic experience from the beginning to the end. And that started my channel. And then my goal is to continue putting some small coaching vignettes on the channel so people can spend a couple of minutes and get some ideas about how to improve their own leadership skills or leading others.
Now, talking about skills, I'm going to use a buzzword that we hear a lot now in the media, and that is unconscious bias. Would you discuss unconscious bias and how it can impact a workplace?
Yes, unconscious bias impacts everything and everyone, everywhere, every day. So naturally, it's going to impact a workplace. And it's even from the place of who do we choose to go to lunch with, or reach out to, or give feedback to, or ask help from, or give need to know unwritten rules to. We don't think of that as bias, but it's because maybe affinity bias, we feel that somebody's most like us, or there's a place that we're really comfortable with that. So it may not be that we are choosing to consciously exclude someone, but we are unconsciously excluding people all the time. And if you are a leader and you're only giving work to certain people because you haven't gotten to know, maybe you think I don't have anything in common with this other person, you will be impacting their ability to develop. And if you have your own biases about yourself, let's say, I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to put myself in for a certain role because I'm not good at that. That's a bias, because basically a bias is a predetermined belief or an attitude. And it could be positive or negative. But it will impact every single thing. It will impact if you reach out to a leader because you want that leader as a mentor or an advocate, but you have some prejudgment about that particular person. So the more we can pay attention to our unconscious bias, and our conscious ones too, because we have a lot of conscious ones. We know what we like and what we don't like. But our unconscious ones, the more we set an intention to find out what they are, you will be able to. And one really important thing is they might not match your conscious belief. I have a quick story here. Several years ago, I had to have surgery, spine surgery. And I was in the room, they were prepping me about to go in, and my surgeon came in. And this was the second surgery he had done on a different part of my spine. And he said, well, my partner is going to be assisting me, and my partner should be in here before we actually put you under and, take you away. And I said, great. And so in walked Dr. Evelyn Berger. And I laughed inside at myself because I do this work all the time. I've been doing it for 12 plus years. And in walked a woman who was his partner. And I laughed because I had expected it to be another man. So it can conflict with our conscious beliefs. And we're not bad for having biases, but that also can't be a cop-out by saying, oh, everybody has biases. They will impact what we decide we're going to do, who we're going to be with, who we're going to help, who will help us. And if we don't know what they are and we don't bring them conscious, we can't make conscious decisions.
And you bring up an excellent point. I had a conversation a few weeks ago with my daughter, and we were kind of talking about occupations which seem to have that feeling of that has a gender attached to it. Mm-hmm. Such as if I say nurse, mm-hmm. most people tend to think it's female. In fact, a lot of people will add male nurse in front of that. And it's like, why? So it's fascinating that you brought that up. I hear that a lot in the legal world as well. Mm-hmm. When people say, well, my attorney said this, what did he say?
Right.
I never said the gender. So that's fascinating. And I love that you express that We all do it, which is exactly right, but it's not an excuse.
Right. It's not an excuse not to pay attention to it. And what you were just using, if you pay attention to your internal and external language, like saying he for a generalization about a certain profession or role, or they, every, them, all. If you hear those words in your thought process or even in your verbal process, question yourself. Do I mean everybody? Am I lumping everybody into a big category? Am I stereotyping? Are all women, men, Black people, Asians, are they all the same? And so when you hear they, it's a really good chance to look at and say, do I mean everyone, or am I talking about somebody in particular? Because we really, really stereotype and categorize and group people all the time. And that is a good time to say all, because we do it.
On your book, Conscious Leadership in the Workplace, which is, you can order it, and we will talk about that later on. What prompted you to write that?
I decided I wanted to write that book 12 years before it was published. So for anybody out there who thinks, I've got to write a book, I'll never write a book, I'm going to write a book, when will I write the book? Be patient. If you're meant to write that book, stay with it. And but what prompted me was, at the time I was a diversity and inclusion manager at a national large law firm. I lived in Atlanta, and there were people coming to me all the time saying, I want more out of my career. I want more. Things just don't feel right. And we would talk about biases and beliefs that we're getting their own development way. But there was also this expectation sometimes, the firm must be doing this or I can't succeed. Now that said, I was also helping try the firm be a more inclusive firm. So the firm had its responsibility, and the main onus is on the firm to be, or the organization, to know what its policies, procedures, its culture is, where there might be systemic issues. That's number one. Because if that's not happening, the person over here who doesn't feel support will never feel support if that person happens to be a marginalized individual. But that said, it is a partnership. The organization needs to figure out, what is it within the culture that is inclusive? Does everybody who wants to succeed have the opportunity to succeed? The individual has to be looking at their place. What do I need? And sometimes to navigate this culture, because if it were a perfect world, we would not even be having these conversations. We need more equity. We need more inclusion. But it does take both. And I definitely say that organizational culture absolutely has to be the top-down forerunner. Here's the culture we want to create. And then the individuals have to take charge of their career. But if there are systemic issues going on, it's like bumping up against a wall all the time. And what we want is this.
I definitely agree. I was making some notes from your book, and you have a chapter on know your triggers. Mm-hmm. Would you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Triggers are the way our body responds, and it might be verbally, it might be physiologically, with sweaty palms, anger, frustration, anxiety, withdrawal, collapse. These are physiological ways we know something has just happened. And usually it is a default reaction. And if you think about it, those different emotions and feelings that I just said, you have a default usually. Maybe it depends on the situation, but do you tend to collapse? Do you tend to get really angry? Do you tend to just have anxiety, all of those things. So these are clues. When these are going on, the question is, why am I feeling this? What just happened? And sometimes something really blatant might have happened, and it is a very legitimate. But I talk about triggers in the aspect of it's an automatic default that we go to when we're uncomfortable or we're around difference or we have been challenged. And to know your trigger and to know what is happening, you have that opportunity to pause. You can say, acknowledge what you're feeling, think about why you're feeling it. Is it based on a stereotype or a bias or a belief about someone? Have I got a closed mindset? This person made me angry once before, so they're going to make me angry every time I see them. So it's really important to kind of do this check-in. And then you can say, what do I want to feel? Maybe I want to feel calm. Maybe I want to feel like I can speak up. What do I need to do to be able to do that? So it really is a neurological process of being able to question what our automatic reaction is. It's an emotional reaction. Is it really what we want to feel? And what do we need to shift to how we want to be in that situation? So that is another aspect of this place of knowing your own beliefs and attitudes that either can push you forward or hold you back, or push someone else forward or hold someone else back.
Rosalie, speaking of holding yourself back, what is an issue that keeps your client up at night, and how do you solve it for them?
For my individual clients, the holding themselves back, it could be getting out of the comfort zone and also looking at what these default reactions are, because whether we like it or not, we interact with people who will trigger similar circumstances from our past. And it's challenging. So we do a lot of work around understanding the beliefs, the behaviors, the attitudes that happen when someone is holding themselves back. Why is that? What is that belief? What do we need to change? And it may be, I don't have enough skills to do this particular job. Okay, then what are the skills and how are you going to get it? How important? We do a lot of values-based work together in my coaching on that, because if something's not aligned with your values, then maybe that's not something you want to keep pursuing. Same thing with an organization. The organization needs to have values that are very clear if they want to be an inclusive culture. And if they are inclusive and they're aligned with their values, they will be continuing to take steps, maybe change policies, have classes. I've gone into hundreds of organizations where I have done unconscious bias classes, leadership development classes, some classes on privilege and systemic racism. There are so many things that an organization can do to help its leaders and its workforce, because I will often say diversity is a fact all around us, but inclusion is an individual responsibility. So everybody needs to be looking at how can we create this culture to be more inclusive, and on the individual level, what am I doing or not doing that is contributing to having the organization be its best or having me be my best at what I do.
Rosalie, let's talk about power partners. And for our audience, power partners are those businesses who target your same ideal client but are not your competition. For example, a real estate agent and a mortgage broker. Their ideal client is both that potential homeowner And so they work together, whether it's trading referrals or even working on the same deal. With that being said, Rosalie, who is your ideal client?
My ideal client, if we look at it both at the individual and the organizational level, the individual is a professional who is good. And I mean, they're successful and they know that they can be more successful. They want to be a better leader or they want to be a leader, and that they are really in a partnership of working toward achieving, looking deep. Self-awareness is the number one skill we all should have. And so it's a deeper dive into your own self-awareness, beliefs and behaviors, what you need to do to get where you want to go. If you're a leader, what do you need to do to be more inclusive and to influence the policies and the procedures and the culture of your organization. So those are but not a check the box. Oh yeah, I had a coach, or oh yeah, we had somebody come in and talk to us about that. It's someone who wants to do a deeper dive and really, really work at being the best individual or organization they can be. And power partners for those, I can see, because I work on the individual level, with my clients on a holistic level. You can't not take care of yourself and be fully successful. It will come out sideways if you don't practice what you need to take care of your physical self. So nutritionist, personal trainer, if someone is improving their presence, then maybe a photographer, that, a new headshot, those types of things. And at the organizational level, of course, you're still working with certain leaders. So maybe those leaders need someone who is really business profit strategy, those types of things, or different types of business development for that organization, because these are things that are not where I focus my time with them on.
I'm also thinking, as far as the organizational side, businesses like managed service providers.
Absolutely.
Those who handle, those workstation issues, cloud-based services, those types of things, because generally you work with both, as you stated, you work with the individual, but you also work with the organization. The organization is going to have a certain number of, honestly, network drops, when
Right.
everybody's in the office. And so that was the first one that came to mind for me. So Rosalie, what about that business person who is watching this and says, I need to find out more. I need to talk to Rosalie. I've got a lot going on and I know I could be doing better. What is the best way for that person to reach out to you?
They can always reach out to me by email. It's Rosalie at rosaliechamberlainconsulting.com. Also through my website, you can opt in and be connected with me on a monthly basis. And I have two phone numbers. My phone number's my 303-953-0866. Or my cell 678-427-7048. Those are ways that you can reach out to me. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a Rosalie Chamberlain Consulting and Coaching Facebook page, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram as well.
As far as this wonderful book that you've written, where's the best place for people to find it?
It is available on Amazon and I believe Barnes & Noble. Amazon's usually the quickest people do. It's available in Kindle and hard copy. And also people can reach out to me and I can give them an autographed book if they would like one. So they can buy it directly from me or through the other online options.
Any last thoughts?
I always say it's so much of this is about self-awareness. If we don't know where we are, we don't know how to get to where we're going. So we have to start somewhere, and it needs to be aligned with our core values, be values-based. Self-awareness, it is the number one skill for every person. Self-awareness and emotional intelligence, these are skill sets. They're not soft things. These are what it takes to actually thrive in the world, and certainly in business these days.
Rosalie, thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been delightful.
This has been so informative. Audience, thank you for watching this show. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There should be a button right down at the bottom that says subscribe. And at Your Virtual Coffee, we love businesses. So business owners, let's talk. Thanks and have an incredible day. Your Virtual Coffee is sponsored by Ventola Law. Ventola Law, mediation and legal representation at an expert level. You can find them at ventolalaw.com. Thanks for joining me today. For more information on Your Virtual Coffee, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wait for it, our website at yourvirtualcoffee.com. Thanks again for watching and have an incredible day.